Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the World Cup is starting in a few days time, and this video is the first out of 10 preview videos where I give my views on the squad selected for each team, and I'll also be giving my views on how far I think they'll go in this competition. And starting things off, I'll be previewing a side that won this competition in 1992, and generally this year they have been consistently getting some good results in this format of the game, and that is Pakistan. Looking at the squad, I think many of the players picked would have made the squad in any case. They've got one major setback, with Naseem Shah unfortunately having to miss the entirety of the competition due to injury, and he'll be out for a long period of time. On this attack, we've been talking about this attack in a positive light for a while now, and even though the other first choice bowlers are available, the attack looks slightly less potent without a Naseem Shah in it, bowling with the new ball, than if he was present in the side. And I think the two bowlers, one of the two bowlers who may replace him in Wasim Jr. and Hassan Ali, will have to form a cohesive attack alongside the other or first choice bowlers in the side and make Naseem Shah's absence slightly less felt. As far as the batting goes, they've got their three heavyweights in Babar Azam, Imam Al-Haq and Mohammad Rizwan, and I'll explain why I think those three will play a crucial role for them in the next part of this video. And they've got the all-rounders as well, Mohammad Nawaz and Shadab Khan. So I think as far as batting depth goes, you've got a case where Shaheen Afridi is batting at 9 and he can play that role quite well. So I think as far as batting depth goes, they've got some good resources there. And they've got the first choice bowlers apart from Naseem Shah available. I think there are 2 points of precariousness for this side. I think if Naseem Shah was available, the point in the bowling wouldn't have been uncovered as much. But there's one of the 2 opening slots still up for grabs. You've got Abdullah Shafiq or Fakhar Zaman as the 2 openers in the side, and Saud Shakil has batted in the middle order for most of his career thus far. So if Fakhar Zaman and Abdullah Shafiq don't get runs in the opening slot, you have to maybe open with Saud Shakil. He may do well, but he has batted in the middle order most of the time. So I'll explain the intricacies in the next part of this video. Regarding how I think this 11 should go, I've gone with Abdullah Shafiq and Imam Al-Haq opening the batting, with Babar Azam at 3 and Mohammad Rizwan at 4. Agha Salman at 5, Iftikhar Ahmed at 6, Mohammad Nawaz at 7, Shadab Khan at 8, Shaheen Shah Afridi at 9, and for now I've gone with Hassan Ali at 10. You could pick him or Wasim Jr., but I've gone with Hassan Ali for now, and Harsh Rauf at 11. So starting off from the top, before Pakistan's last game of their Asia Cup campaign against Sri Lanka, I would have had Fakhar Zaman in the side opening alongside Imam Al-Haq, but since the Sri Lanka game, Abdullah Shafiq has opened for them. He scored a 52 in the Sri Lanka game and walked out to open the batting recently in the warm-up game against New Zealand. So I think he will be the first choice opener for them going into the World Cup, and I think it's a good decision because when batting in ODIs in this part of the world, your top 4 setting things up for the players to come is crucial for success. If you've got to that maybe 152 mark in 30 overs and you've got a lot of wickets in hand, you can look to get that 290, 300 score or even more. And any chase above 290 in this part of the world will not be easy. And you saw in the warm-up game against New Zealand where when Babar Azam was dismissed for 80, Pakistan were 160 for 3. The foundation was set and they went on to get 345. And looking at this lineup, it is primed to follow this blueprint. And the reason why I've gone with Abdullah Shafiq instead of Fakhar Zaman is because it's a case where you've got to fortify your top 4. And I think, especially in the case of Fakhar Zaman isn't getting runs, and with the way he looks to play as well, if he is dismissed early on consistently, you've got more pressure on Imam Al-Haq, Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan to establish the foundation. And if 2 of those 3 are dismissed early, things aren't looking too great for Pakistan. So I think fortifying that top 4 is the way to go for all the teams in this competition. And especially for one team, I've recommended a rejigging of the lineup, something they haven't tried before, but I think it makes more sense to do that. And I will get to them when I preview their campaign. And in Pakistan's case, like I said, fortifying your top 4 is the way to go, and Abdullah Shafiq would provide more assurance than Fakhar Zaman at this point in time. The main three of this batting lineup, Imam ul-Haq, Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan. Imam ul-Haq averages just over 50 in this format. Babar Azam averages almost 50 this year. And Mohammad Rizwan averages just over 60 this year. We saw what both the latter two did against New Zealand, where they got their side to 160 for 2 before Babar Azam was dismissed. We've seen them establish the foundation successfully quite a lot over the course of this year and before. I think especially Mohammad Rizwan in the last few months has caught on a lot in this format of the game. And those three as a trio, Imam ul-Haq, Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan, I think I expect them to have good tournaments, and if they do, Pakistan could look to get match-winning totals more often than not. I've got Agha Salman at 5. You could play him or Saud Shakil at number 5. You saw what the latter did against New Zealand, especially the shots he played off James Neesham were very good to watch. He scored a 75 in that game. And I think they are well placed in the batting lineup there if the opening slot is figured out. You've got Iftikhar Ahmed, who ever since the 20-run over off the bowling of Akshar Patel in the T20 World Cup game against India, his career has taken off, whether it be in T20 leagues or in the ODI side for Pakistan, where in 7 innings or maybe 8 innings now he walked out later to face a few deliveries against New Zealand. In 7 innings of kind of more formal competitive games, he scored a century and a 50, and he's had a very good time of things ever since that game against India in the T20 World Cup. So him at number 6 I think is a good option. You've got Mohammad Nawaz at number 7 and Shadab Khan 8. So you're getting into the all-rounders. And like I said in the previous part of this video, you've got the batting depth in the side by Shaheen Afridi. You've seen what he's done in the PSL. He can hit a long ball at number 9. And even Hassan Ali or Mohammad Wasim can bat at number 10. So you've got the batting depth there in this side. And now on the bowling, you've got the 4 first choice bowlers, along with one of Hassan Ali or Mohammad Wasim to play that third seam row. And on Hassan Ali, I'm not writing him off by any means, but he hasn't played in ODI since 2022, and he's been good in T20 leagues around the world, where this year he's played 23 games, he's taken 36 wickets, going at just over 8, especially when bowling the difficult overs, which is good. As far as his return to the ODI side goes, I don't know how he will do, and he didn't have a great game against New Zealand in the recent warm-up. In terms of the skills that he's exhibited when playing for Pakistan and in T20 leagues, he's bowled with a new ball and can also bowl in the middle phase. And especially in 2017, probably the best he has bowled for Pakistan, where he was a major contributor with them going on to win the Champions Trophy that year. I don't know how this version of Hassan Ali will be. And if you're looking at the 2 seamers you've got alongside Shaheen Afridi and Haris Shroff, you've got Hassan Ali and Mohammad Wasim. The reason why I've gone with Hassan Ali to be in the side for now is because we've seen him open the bowling more often than we have seen Mohammad Wasim, but you could play either of them. But I think Hassan Ali will have to step up as the more experienced player. We have seen him open the bowling more often. And if he doesn't, the problem is you've got either of those two where, and even going to the tournament, you've got either of those two where you don't know what you'll get from Hassan Ali. And Mohammad Wasim, apart from the few games of the T20 World Cup where he's shown as a bowler, he hasn't done much around it. And especially in the last few games, he hasn't had many things going for him. And in the game against New Zealand, in the warm-up game, he went at 8. So if you've got 2 bowlers who aren't bowling at their best, but you have to play one of them, you aren't in a good spot, and you've got someone like a Shadab Khan, yes, a fantastic option, but you've seen in ODIs quite a few times he takes advantage of the pressure that's created from the bowlers of bowled before him. And if you've got a Naseem Shah and a Shaheen Afridi who get early breakthroughs, the opposition are 2 wickets down, you've got a Shadab Khan who rebels when the batsmen are under pressure because of what the bowlers have done before him, and you've seen him prosper in this format. But if it's a case where the opening bowlers aren't able to get the breakthroughs you've seen against India even recently, Shadab Khan couldn't land the ball when he was bowling to Rohit Sharma. And the moment the wicket fell, he was a different bowler. I think even in 2017 and 2019 when they played India, Shadab Khan suffered the same thing as well. So when the batsmen are under pressure, he rebels in this format. If you've got the case of Shaheen Afridi has to do the bulk of the work with the new ball, and that may have a knock-on effect with Shadab Khan not coming onto bowl when the conditions, or rather when the match situation is suiting him. And In terms of the backup options as well, like I said, you've got to play one of Hassan Ali or Mohammad Wasim. If they're both not informed, you've not got a good thing going for you there. And Usama Mir is not a like-for-like replacement for Shadab Khan. I feel Shadab Khan is more of a wicket-taking threat. You've got Mohammad Nawaz, who's a defensive bowler. 10 overs, 50 runs, 2 wickets, maybe a fantastic option. But Shadab Khan is the more offensive bowler, and I don't think Usama Mir can match him in that regard. So yeah, it's not a like-for-like replacement. And as far as the batting goes, you've got a case where one of Fakhar Zaman and Abdullah Shafiq will have to get runs at the top of the order, because if they don't, you've got to play Saud Shakil, who's batted in the middle order most of the time as an opener. Now he may do well, but I think you'd rather your first choice openers do well. And now on players who could have been picked for this squad. You've got Abdullah Shafiq, who's got a lot of red ball success thus far in his career. Averages 60 in the first class circuits and averages 50 in internationals with 4 50s and 4 centuries. A very good start to his career. However, 8 list A innings, an average of 19 or so, and strikes at 70. I think he hasn't played too many ODIs, but 1/2 century, strikes at 70 odd, and averages 20. So they've picked him for his red ball success, which isn't such a bad thing when you're looking for an opener in this format. I think you've got to apply red ball sense when opening the batting in this format of the game. However, there's another player who's played for Pakistan recently. He was included in the T20I side a few months ago, batted out of position. There was question on his strike rate and he was dropped. He's played 9 times for Pakistan in ODIs, 163 runs, averages 18 with 1/2 century, but a very capable player. And that is Shan Masood. He's been playing for Yorkshire and he has scored a couple of centuries with a 96 and an 86 as well of late. So even though in the opportunities that he got for Pakistan and ODIs, he didn't do too much, but I back him to come good if he was given a longer rope. And what I'm trying to say is that you've clearly got an experimental phase going where you don't know who's going to open alongside Imam al-Haq. Fakhar Zaman hasn't done well in the last few games, and you've got an Abdullah Shafiq who's been picked for his red ball form. You don't know how he will do in ODIs. So if you've got a case there, Saud Shakil could be a good opener, even though he has batted in the middle order most of the time. But if you're looking for an assured opening batsman, I don't think there are many better in Pakistan as of now than Shan Masood. Bring him back. And there's been a case where, yes, the unfortunate injury to Naseem Shah. But if you've got a Shan Masood playing well after being given chances, if you've got him opening alongside Imam al-Haq and Naseem Shah on the side, this would have looked a gun team, and I would have said semi-finals straight away, and they would have been threatening to win this competition. Now, like I mentioned, you've got one of Hassan Ali and Mohammad Wasim bowling when they've not got the... Well, Hassan Ali, you don't know what to expect. Mohammad Wasim has not got the current form going into this competition. And Fakhar Zaman and Abdullah Shafiq, you don't know what to expect, and I feel they're missing the assurance of a Shan Masood they did not give backing to, and now you've got a case where you don't know how one of the opening slots will go. This video is actually a reshoot, and the reason why it's a reshoot is because I purposefully didn't mention a player the previous time round who I originally was going to mention. The reason why I didn't mention him is because I thought the only play he could have played instead of was Mohammad Nawaz, and 2, after Pakistan not picking him for international cricket for a while, I didn't think they'd pick him in place of Naseem Shah, and that is Imad Wasim. In T20s this year, he's been a beast. In 33 innings with the bat, he's averaged almost 45, striking at 141. In 43 innings with the ball, 50 wickets, going with just over 6. He's been a fantastic option, and I think he's batting that well that he could bat at 4 or 5 in a T20 game. And yes, Iftikhar Ahmed is there in the ODI side at number 6, but Imad Wasim is batting that well that I think he could even bat at 6 in ODI. So he hasn't been rewarded for what he's done in the T20 circuit, even though you have picked Hassan Ali for what he's done in T20s. And I knew they wouldn't go for this option, but if you've got a case where both Hassan Ali and Mohammad Wasim aren't going too well with a new ball, Imad Wasim has been a new ball spinner all his career, and I think him bowling up front, looking to cannot concede runs while Shaheen Afridi goes for breakthroughs, I think would be a good combination. And you've got Mohammad Wasim, Shadab Khan, and Haris Shroff to bowl in the middle. I knew they wouldn't choose this option. Unfortunately, it means Imad Wasim has not been rewarded, but because he hadn't played for all this time, I didn't think they'd go for him. And with subcontinental sides being Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, and even Afghanistan as well, but especially the first three, they've got the resources to trouble teams in this part of the world and win games. And unfortunately, when you've got cases where they play Pakistan, play in Australia, for example, a lot of the occasions you could have said they had the resources to win games and they've struggled against that particular opposition. And even recently against India, where Babar Azam won the toss, chose to field first, and another baffling decision was to drop Mohammad Nawaz when you're playing in Sri Lanka, dropping a second frontline spinner and batting Fahim Ashraf at number 8. And with the injuries to Haris Shroff and Asim Shah from that game, Fahim Ashraf had to bowl a lot more with the injury to Haris Shroff, and you saw what happened. So they don't help themselves, and I'll get to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka when I preview them, but you've got the case where even in the recent warm-up game, after being 104 without loss, I think Sri Lanka slumped to 260 or Bangladesh chased it down. So once again, a case of subcontinental teams not helping themselves. If Pakistan do help themselves, it'll be a much better outcome. They've still got some good plays, and they're going to have to help themselves, because if Naseem Shah was there and you're back to Shan Masood and he was opening the batting, I would have said a gun team, they could win the competition. You've got two areas of concern, where one of the opening slots and the other being you don't know how Hassan Ali and Mohammad Wasim are going to go, and that does weaken them a bit. So I think the first 11 is going to have to go well for Pakistan, because if they don't iron out these two issues, I think they may be struggling to make that fourth spot. You'd think if this side goes well, they could make that fourth spot, because apart from India and Australia, there is no team that you could say are front runners to qualify for third and fourth. So I think that Pakistan have got an opportunity, as do other sides, but if they don't iron out these issues, they may struggle. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, share the video with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?